Welcome to this Getting Started with OPUS Reports and Dashboards ORD for US Compliance training session. First, we'll take a look at an introduction to ORD, then the ORD framework, ORD catalog and roles, query objects, reports, and dashboards. This is Myra. Myra is a supply chain planner at a US-based pharmaceutical company that must comply with DSCSA while relying heavily on external partners to get products to patients. On the upstream side, she works with multiple CMOs and packaging sites that serialize, aggregate, and ship finished goods on her company's behalf. On the downstream side, she depends on 3PLs, wholesalers, and hospitals or pharmacies to move, store, and dispense products while exchanging serialized transaction information and transaction statements, managing verification requests, and resolving DSCSA exceptions. From Myra's point of view, DSCSA data is coming from everywhere, different CMOs, 3PLs, wholesalers, and dispenser locations. That leaves her with fragmented EPCIS and serialized TI, TS data, and no easy way to see the full compliance picture. ORD is what brings this all together. She can use OPUS reports and dashboards to pull those discrete DSCSA data streams into a single consolidated view. So, instead of piecing things together from multiple locations, she gets one place to monitor. Total shipments per day, shipment counts by status, delivered, process failed, T2 generation failed, generated with warning, and failure reason. Now on to an ORD overview and framework. When we talk about helping Myra answer her key questions, OPUS Reports and Dashboards, what we'll call ORD, is the main tool we'll be using. ORD is TraceLink's next-generation data visualization capability that runs on the OPUS platform. It gives you real-time visibility into the data from your licensed TraceLink products based on the business objects that matter to you, like T2 documents, deliveries, and many others. Companies can create their own reports and dashboards combining tables and charts so stakeholders see exactly the data that's most important to their business goals and can make quick decisions using the right information. A key point is that ORD is fully no-code and is designed for business users. Reports and dashboards are created using an intuitive drag-and-drop interface that shows real-time data as you build, so the page looks exactly the way the report designer intends, without needing to know complex query languages or write any code. This aligns with TraceLink's broader OPUS vision of end-to-end supply chain digitalization, integration, and orchestration through no-code tools. Now we'll take a look at the structure. ORD is based on a simple three-tiered hierarchy that moves us from raw data to powerful insights. Let's first talk about business objects because these really are the building blocks for ORD. The entire process starts not with code, but with a simple question: what do you want to see? The answer always points us to our business objects. Are you tracking a T2 data or failed deliveries? You first imagine the objects you need to combine to tell your story. Now let's look into the ORD framework, starting with the first layer called Query Objects. Layer 1, Query Objects. Once you know your business objects, they come together in the query object. You can associate primary, secondary, tertiary, and even quaternary objects from an application within query objects. A single well-defined query object can be reused to create multiple different reports. You define the structure once, and you build many reports from it. Layer 2, Reports. A report is built on top of the query object. It gives you your metrics and data in a clear tabular format, the rows and columns. This is your structured dataset. Finally, Layer 3, Dashboards. This is where the magic really happens, with the visualization. Reports give you the numbers while dashboards give you the visualization. We take the tabular data and transform it into charts and graphs. This is typically a no-code drag-and-drop environment. And just like the query object, one underlying report can be used to fuel multiple visualizations on a single dashboard, or even be shared across multiple dashboards. So the flow is simple: business objects to query object to report to dashboard. We're now going to understand these slightly complex concepts with a car analogy. The query objects are like the engine sensors. Just like sensors in a car, which collect data about speed, fuel, and temperature, they are the foundation that captures what's happening under the hood. The report is like the instrument readings. The data from those sensors is displayed in meaningful ways, like how your speedometer shows speed or your fuel gauge shows levels. That's your report. It organizes and presents raw data into clear, structured insights so you can understand what's going on. And finally, the dashboard, the driver's view. Now, imagine all your key readings displayed together on your car's dashboard. You don't need to check each sensor individually. You get the full picture immediately. In short, the query object gathers data, like the sensors in a car. The report translates it into readable information, like the gauge readings in your car. And the dashboard combines everything into one clear visual view, like your car's dashboard. In ORD, query objects gather real-time data from your supply chain, for example, T2 document deliveries and more. Reports leverage query objects to display tabular data for business objects that meet the specified criteria. At the report level, you say, my report is going to focus on US deliveries for different locations, then choose filters and columns. The dashboard pulls insights from multiple reports and presents what matters most, helping you steer your supply chain efficiently. As we move into the next sections, we'll go deeper into each one of these pieces and then use them together to build the kind of visibility that Myra and your own teams need. Now on to marketplace and roles. The standard ORD query objects, reports and dashboards are available in the ORD Marketplace catalog. That means, as a report designer, you don't have to start from a blank page. You can take a standard query object from the Marketplace catalog, copy it into your company catalog, and adapt it to your needs. You do the same with standard reports and dashboards, copy, tweak, and version them rather than building everything from scratch. You can copy existing query objects, reports, or dashboards from the Marketplace catalog or company catalog to create new versions and iterate safely without losing the original. As you work with ORD, I want you to think of catalogs as your starting point and your safety net. They give you ready-made content to begin with, and a controlled way to version and share your own analytic assets across environments and teams. These are some of the personas who might benefit from ORD. First are TraceLink administrators. They can configure and manage query object reports and dashboards that provide actionable insights to help organizations reach their goals. TraceLink administrators can create query objects, report definition, reports, and dashboards for your own company users. They can even share them on the TraceLink marketplace. A business user can tap into these insights when it comes to decision making. They typically have a deep understanding of supply chain orchestrations and need the right information to make the right choices. Partners get access to the reports and dashboards the owner grants them access to. Both parties can now look at the same data at the same time to solve supply chain challenges. Within ORD, there are two roles, the report builder creator and the report user. The report builder creator role allows a user to create, configure, and manage query objects, reports, and dashboards. They define the reusable query objects, build and edit reports, and assemble dashboards. They can search for, view, create, edit, and manage query objects that the company can use as the basis for its reports, and then release those query objects to the company catalog so other report designers can use them. They also create and edit reports and dashboards using the drag-and-drop interface to define criteria, columns, filters, and visualizations. The report user allows a user to view reports and dashboards, but not query objects. Report users typically work with the content that report designers have set up. Another thing to keep in mind is that to access reports and dashboards to view data from a particular solution, you must have access to that solution. For example, if you're trying to access US compliance reports and dashboards, you have to be a member of the US compliance network with the right role. There are a few key operations that apply across query objects, reports, and dashboards in ORD. Let's start with states. Each of these elements, query objects, reports, and dashboards, move through different states as you work with them. Initially, when you create one of these elements, it starts off in the edit state. This is where you define the attributes, make configurations, and set up everything. Once you're done with your setup, you transition the element into the release state. It's very important to remember this rule. A query object must be in the release state before it can be used to generate a report. Similarly, a report must be released before it can be used in a dashboard. Another key point. Once an element is in the release state, it can no longer be edited directly. If you need to make changes, you have two options. Either create a copy or create a new version and then make your edits there. Let's continue looking at how we manage ORD elements, query objects, reports, and dashboards. Specifically, the common toolbar operations you'll most often use: copy, new version, and new. Just note, only the report builder creator role has access to perform these operations. Copy. This lets you duplicate an existing element, either from the marketplace to your company or within the company catalog. The new copy will always start in the edit state. New version is used when the existing object is released and you want to update it. The new version also starts in edit, ready for changes. New means you're starting completely from scratch, perfect for unique or custom use cases. So think of it in this way: copy is to reuse, new version to improve, and new to create something entirely original. Next, on to query objects. Query objects serve as the basis for reports. Remember the car analogy covered earlier. So, in the car, the engine sensors are the query objects, which collects various data, for example, engine RPM, its temperature, etc. from the engine. Similarly, in ORD, these query objects collect data from various application-level business objects, for example, T2 data. They consist of one primary object and optionally one or more secondary, tertiary, and even quaternary objects, all of which are business objects in a selected TraceLink application. These objects define the types of data that will appear in a report. When creating query objects, there is flexibility in creating a query object from scratch, tailoring them to suit specific reporting requirements. Alternatively, you can leverage existing query objects from your company catalog or the TraceLink marketplace. From a user perspective, report designers search for, view, create, edit, and manage query objects that their company can use as the basis for reports, then release them to the company catalog so other report designers can use them. Report users do not see query objects directly, they just see the reports built on top of them, which ensures that they can focus on the data in the report instead of the report's underlying structure. Let's look at how object relationships work in ORD. You always start by choosing your primary object. This is the main business object you want to build your report around. From there, you can begin linking related objects. For example, you might want to combine the T2 records and US delivery. So you select T2 records object as a primary object. From there, you can begin linking related objects. ORD supports building these relationships up to 4 levels deep. These are your secondary, tertiary, and quaternary objects. Essentially, each level connects to the one above it, allowing you to bring in more detailed or related data. In this example, US delivery object is selected as a secondary object. Now on to reports. Reports leverage query objects to display tabular data for business objects that meet the specified criteria. They are no-code, interactive tables that retrieve data based on selected query objects and user-defined criteria, and then allow users to filter, sort, group, pivot, and apply computed fields for deeper analysis. You can think of a report as having 3 main parts. You first select the query object, then you define the report criteria such as process network and partner selection, filters like delivery date ranges, which columns fields you want to include. Lastly, you interact with the report. Once the data is retrieved, reports provide a rich set of interactive features: hide, show, and reorder columns, filtering and sorting directly in the table, group by and pivot mode to summarize data at different levels, computed columns to create custom metrics, for example, difference between ASN and PO delivery dates, using drag and drop operators instead of code. All of this is done through an intuitive drag-and-drop interface that displays real-time data during creation. For this class, we're going to utilize Marketplace Reports to solve Mira's business use case. First, we'll look at how to use a Marketplace report, then the report operations. Under Reports and Dashboards, go to Reports and Marketplace. Select the row of the report you wish to copy. Select Copy. Enter the catalog type Company. Enter a new report name. Select Apply. Then if you go to Reports and Company, you'll see your new report listed here. Note that it's in an edit state. Click into it. You can configure this report to tweak it as per your requirements. Let's now explore some report level operations. First, we'll rename the report name. We're in edit mode, so if you click into this box, you'll notice that you can now edit the field. You can change the title as you wish, then select the tick to accept the changes. You can also change the subtitle if you wish. Again, select the tick if you wish to accept the changes. Let's now modify the report criteria. Click the Report Criteria button. A Report Criteria push panel appears on the screen. Let's say Myra wants to view the deliveries in the last 1 month instead of 7 days. To do this, go to the Filter section and change last 7 days to last 1 month and select Apply. We'll now work with the Columns tab. Select Columns on the right-hand side here, and you can select the column names that you wish to be displayed in the table, or deselect them if you don't want them to be displayed. Now onto the filter columns. Let's expand the report status, for example, and deselect the checkbox for Generation Failed row. Notice that the Generation Failed row is hidden from the report. Let's select it again, and you can see it appear again. You can reorder the columns as you wish as well. Just drag and drop them. If you select the 3 dots next to a column name, for example, delivery number, a context menu appears. In the context menu, you can see some more options for the columns like sort, pin column, value aggregation, etc. If you scroll down to the last field, here you can rename the column header. To release the report to the company catalogue, once you're done with your changes, select Move To, it will move to Released, and save. Finally, onto Dashboards. Dashboards let you see a variety of data on a single page, using tables and a wide range of charts. They're built on top of reports and provide a high-level visual summary of key metrics. If you recall the car analogy, in the car, all the data retrieved from sensors is presented to you in the car dashboard, so you can quickly assess the situation and take real-time decisions. Dashboards are highly interactive and configurable. You can add, remove elements, change chart types, and configure colors, legends, and styles per chart type. Dashboards support interactive filters across all elements. You can filter data across the entire dashboard using predefined filters such as process network or partner selection, ensuring that all visualizations are in sync with the user's context. Dashboards pull data from multiple process networks and applications, providing a holistic view of supply chain performance. Let's take a look at how to create a new dashboard, configure the dashboard, and then release the dashboard. To create a new dashboard, go to Dashboards and Company, select Add New, enter a dashboard name, keep the catalog type as Company, then save. We're now in edit mode. To configure the dashboard, select the section Object Collector, which is the section 1 dotted rectangle. Then select the drag and drop report push panel and apply your desired report. Just drag it into this section here. It can take a few moments to apply. In the top right corner of section 1, click the little chart button. Then click on the 3 dots, which is the Actions menu. Select Edit Chart. Here you can change the chart type. Let's change it to a pie chart, for example. Then select Save and move to Released and Save. Now Myra and her team can easily see the US deliveries generated. That brings us to the end of this training session on ORD. First, I gave an introduction to ORD. We then took a look at the ORD framework, catalog and roles, query objects, how to create and configure a report, and finally, dashboards. If you have any questions following this training session, please feel free to email traceLink University@tracelink.com. Thank you for your time today.